Then we can laugh twice. All right. So acids are originally, when they are formed, they are covalent molecules. Remember, covalent means they share electrons. Okay, they share electrons that ionize when they are dissolved in water. Okay, so we let them react with water and then they become ionized. What does ionization mean, or what does it mean when they become ionized? It is where you take a covalent substance, it reacts with water, and it forms ions for the first time. So ionization means the process where we make ions. So in this reaction, water takes part in it. So water actually reacts with something. And then strong acids ionize completely to form a strong electrolyte. And weak acids ionize incompletely to form a weak electrolyte. Okay, I'm going to explain that quickly. What is an electrolyte? I said this last year. Electrolyte is something like Energade or Powerade or Lucozade or Game or something like that, that gives you, it replenishes, it fills up your salts again. So electrolyte is a salty solution.
So what? Can you please repeat what you say?
Replenish your salts. So okay, so what happens is if you do exercise, you sweat. And if you sweat a lot, you'll see it forms like on your clothing or wherever, it forms like a white layer. That white layer is the salts that's taken out of your body. Okay, now what salts do in solution in your body? Salts connect your wires, if you want to think of it like that. So inside your body you have you have what's that word that connects the information from one point to the next? Your neurons. Not your neurons, but what did you say?
We understand.
Yeah. No, anyway, so there's a connection path that must jump. Okay, so it's like a electricity that must go from one point to the next. And salt helps to carry that information. So if you sweat a lot, you lose the salt that helps the connections. And so you can become dehydrated, and if you becomes dehydrated too much, you could go into seizures.
If you have enough salt, you get dish up.
Yeah, but not too much. Too much salt keeps water and then you blow up.
So you become fat.
Huh? Fit.
You say blow up.
Yeah, you blow. So some people retain salt too much and they become swollen.
Yeah.
Especially older people. So you need salt, otherwise your body cannot connect and you go into seizures.
How you reduce from if you want to keep your salt but you don't want to blow up?
Don't eat too much salt. Too much salt is bad.
No, I'm asking, so do you want to keep the salt but not blow up?
You can't. Okay, alright. So, a salty solution, an electrolyte conducts electricity. And that is called, an electrolyte, and that's something like Energade, Powerade, blah, 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 blah. Energy. Okay, right. So, when I say strong acid and a strong or a weak acid, I did explain this quickly to you. A strong acid ionizes completely. You must think of someone that is confident. I don't want to say confident, but that know their self-worth. They can give and give and give and give and know it doesn't take anything from themselves. But someone that is a bit unsure of themselves or scared to give because they think they will lose of themselves. All right. So I think you asked if that means you. I didn't say it means you. I said you can decide for yourself.
The salt couldn't carry.
Yeah, the salt can carry. All right. So same thing here. A strong acid ionizes completely. What that means is it gives a lot of products. It reacts with water a lot, and a weak one does not react a lot. Okay. Now we're going to show this in a moment. Okay, I'm going to highlight the rest just now. If you look at hydrochloric acid, that is a strong acid. Okay, so if you take hydrochloric acid, when it's produced, it is a gas, and it reacts with water. That is a liquid. Then it reacts a lot. Because it's a strong acid, it reacts a lot, and we write it as follows. We say a lot of products will form where it ionizes completely. So we have a long arrow to the front and a short arrow to the back. A long arrow to the front and a short arrow to the back. So that means it is a strong acid that ionizes completely. Meaning it produces the concentration of the hydronium ions that it produces is high. Okay, so what I mean with that is it splits up here. That H reacts with water and it gives you an hydronium ion and it gives you a chlorine ion. Okay, so this is called an hydronium ion. Okay, so when we take this acid, we dissolve it in water, it gives you a lot of products. So we say it ionized completely. Okay, so if you remember, all of this happens in one container. It's not like you have two containers. It happens in one container, and if you look inside the container, you will see a lot of this and very little of this because all of it has reacted. Okay, this is a reversible reaction. So it does split up and form, split up and form, but at the end of the day, when equilibrium is reached, you'll get a lot of this. Okay, and this here on the right hand side, this is the face of an acid. Okay, so there at the top it says, this concentration of the hydronium or hydrogen ion determines how strong and how corrosive an acid is. Okay, so it determines how strong this acid or this base is. Now, corrosive means how, in English it's vretend, how it eats away your flesh. Yeah, so how well it reacts. Okay, if you look at the next one, acetic acid is a weak acid. Okay, acetic acid is the same as ethanoic acid. When it's produced, it is a liquid.
So what kind of acid is it? Is it a carbon?
Is in a
Carbon tree, because I heard if you...
sulfuric acid. Strong acid. Okay, that reacts with water. Now, because it is a weak acid, you have a short arrow to the front and a long arrow to the back. Okay, right. So this H there will break off and it will go sit there. And you are left with the hydronium ion, aqueous, and the acetate ion. The acetate ion. Acetate ion. No, I think it's with the C. Acetate ion. Okay, so because it is a weak acid, you have a short arrow to the front and a long arrow to the back.
Now, what is the highest salary someone who knows chemistry and physics like very well? Yeah, what is the highest salary?
Actually, physics and chemistry are two separate routes that you take.
So, which one has the highest payment?
In general, I will say someone in chemistry because chemical engineers gets paid a lot.
What do you do?
They make new products, new Omo, new everything.
What is the chemical?
Of chick. Oh, I can't remember. It's ammonium something, but I can't remember what. It's a base. A base. All right. Then. Thank you.
Chemistry, they make almost as well. Chemical engineer.
Yeah, but now they don't need it because they have the formula. Chemical engineer comes up with new things. All right. So, what is the definition of a strong acid? Now, these two definitions, and on the next page, are definitions that they ask a lot. Okay, they do ask this a lot. Either the definition of by heart or the application, or sort of the definition in your own words. Okay, so what is a strong acid? A strong acid ionizes completely in water to form a high concentration of hydronium ions. Okay, so there on the right hand side I give you examples of strong acids. And then a weak acid is it ionizes incompletely in water to form a low concentration of hydronium ions. Okay, and there I give you a few more examples. We have done the first few. This is called ethanoic acid, or it's called acetic acid. Acetic acid. Then the next one is called oxalic acid. This one is called phosphoric acid. And the last one is called carbonic acid. So all the acids that you have seen before in your life, it's not the first time, but I expect you to know their names. Phosphoric. Sharp.
Do you know that there's a difference between a lemon and a lime?
Yes. Lime is even more sour. And lime is green and the lemon is... No, wait.
Lime is green.
Yes. Sorry, I think on lemoen in Afrikaans. Lime is green, lemon is yellow, orange is orange.
What is a lime in Afrikaans?
Suurlemoen.
And then what is a lemon?
Suurlemoen and a lime is a...
So remember, when the lemon,
before
it gets like hopper, it's like...
No, it's a different cultivar. A lime is a lemiki.
Remember, there's a fruit called lime.
Yes. I can't focus with you.
I thought they just came with the...
Hey, I thought it was a small
On the
lemon.
cool drink. To see lime.
Pictures.
Oh, you see me?
The green one is a lime, the yellow one is a lemon.
What is the lemon? Lime is before lemon. Because when before it gets
No,
to yellow,
they're two different trees.
Thank you. Go there. It was nice knowing.
It is.
Okay. Yes.
Can zinc react with something?
Yes.
With what?
Lots of things. It reacts with all your filth. Not your filth. Your filth. Okay. All right. So, bases, dissociation of bases. What is it? It's a process where you already have an ionic substance and it breaks up to form hydrated ions in water. Now, hydrated means it is surrounded by water and it gives you aqueous solution molecules. So here water does not take part in the reaction. So water is almost just like a catalyst or a medium in which it takes place. Then the same with the acids. If you have a strong base, it dissociates completely to form a strong electrolyte. And if you have a weak one, it dissociates incompletely to form a weak electrolyte. Okay, so it's the same as the acids. It's just now a base. Okay, and then if you see that OH, that hydroxide, that is the face of the symbol for a base. And that concentration, remember the square brackets means concentration. And that concentration determines how strong or how weak the base is. Okay, so if we look there at sodium hydroxide, when we start with it, it's a solid. And because it's a strong base, it dissociates completely in water, so it has a long arrow to the front. In water, so not with water, but just in water. And it will split up into the sodium ion and the hydroxide ion. Does the light bother you? You want to put it off?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this means it dissociates completely, and that gives you the concentration of the hydroxide ions is high. Okay, next one, ammonium hydroxide is a liquid to start with. Ammonium hydroxide is a weak base. How do you know it's a weak base? You see the hydroxide, but it's not bonded to group 1 or group 2 elements. So you see the hydroxide, but it's not bonded to group 1 or group 2 elements, so it's a weak base. Okay, so that is why we have a short arrow to the front and a long arrow to the back. Okay, and that will split up here and will give you an ammonium ion and a hydroxide ion. Also in the presence of water. Okay, right, so the definition here of a strong base is same as a strong acid. It dissociates completely to give a high concentration of hydroxide ions. A weak base dissociates incompletely to form a low concentration of hydroxide ions. Okay, so it's the same as with the acids, the definitions. And again, they do ask these definitions quite a lot. They ask the acids a bit more, but they do ask the bases. Okay, and then what is the name of that base there? It has a common name. You use it in your food.
Table salt.
No, table salt is table salt, NaCl.
What does it do to
Vinegar.
Vinegar is an acid.
Soda.
Spice. Carbonate of soda. What is it for the baking soda?
Baking soda.
No, yeah, you call it baking soda as well. It's not baking powder. It's not baking powder, it's baking soda. Baking powder is something different.
They call it soda because it's
Now, if it has a CO3, it's soda as a suffix. Koek soda in Afrikaans, yeah. Koek soda. All right, we're going to stop there for today, grade 12s.